Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Claims Never Sleep. I'm joined by my co-host, Jen. Hey, Jen, how are you doing?
I'm good. I almost feel like more of the interviewee today on this one.
I know, a little bit. I put you on the spot just a little bit, but that's okay. Sometimes you need to be in the hot seat.
Yeah, it's
But
nice to experience it from the other side.
but I'm excited about today because now we're here to have our I want to say quarterly women's podcast, but we do it like it's a loose quarter. But I love these ladies, and the reason why it ends up not working as much as quarterly because we're just all very busy and our schedules are all over the place, and it's extremely difficult to get a day and an hour and a half that everyone is available. We did it, and we're here today, and we're here to talk about how our definitions of success have changed for ourselves throughout our professional careers, and what has caused those changes in our minds or in our what we defined as success for ourselves throughout the time. And everyone has different points of view on it, and some really awesome takeaways. So let's bring all the ladies in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our quarterly, actually not so quarterly women's podcast. We aim to do this quarterly, but scheduling with all these busy ladies, this is our third one. We'll just put it at that. We made 3 in 1 year-ish. So happy to have you all back on Claims Never Sleep. How is everyone today?
Living the dream.
That's right. Right in the middle of holiday season.
Yeah,
holiday chaos in full swing.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, for our listeners to know, we had a lot of pre-recording chats about how often Amazon is coming to each of our homes. I am currently literally boxed in my office. There is no easy escape if I was under an emergency situation.
Sounds like a fire hazard, Meghan. That's a risk issue.
It's 100% a fire hazard. I'm surrounded by flammable cardboard. But we're here to talk about success today and how our definition of success has changed over the course of our careers. And I'll start it off with this. When you first embarked in your professional life, do you recall at that point what you thought was like, okay, I just need to get to this point. I need to get to this goal. Like for me, it was like this far off goal of making partner. And I had no idea how I would do it. No one told me how to do it. But that was like, to me, that was like, okay, that's the goal that they seem to have set for us young attorneys, is that's what you should be striving for. But I had no, I had no path. I had no idea. I was just like, I think that's what I'm supposed to be working for. I just don't know how. But I'm curious what everyone else at the starts of their careers, what you had in mind. So I'll start with Evelyn. What did you have in mind? Yeah.
That is a hard question, honestly. Like, I still feel like I want to be a unicorn some days, but that still hasn't happened. I started in insurance defense like a long time ago at a law firm, and then I moved into claims pretty quickly. So obviously, if you work at an insurance defense law firm and you are not an attorney, there's only so many choices, or you have to go back and go to law school and become one. Mm-hmm. And I pretty quickly decided I didn't think that was my path. So I got into claims and I loved it. And actually, I started at the Hartford, and there were a million different choices. And I think when you're really early in your career and you work for a major claims shop, you just know that you want to produce the best work that you can. And I think you start figuring out pretty quickly you need to be visible. Because if you can't do that, then you can't keep rising up whatever this ladder is, right, at the company. And that could look like a lot of different things. So I think when I was young, the idea was, like, to your point of like off looking at like partners down the road, like what, you want to be an adjuster, and then you want to be a senior, and then you want to be, I don't know, a specialist, a team lead, a supervisor, manager, VP, whatever the case may be. So I think it was all about, to your point, how do we get better, and how do I keep excelling and keep moving up? That's definitely changed for me over the years, for sure.
Yeah. And it's funny too, I think early on we have these ideas of like what we want to do, what we think we want to do, but don't really have much of a clue of what that even means too, or what that future job or position or role may entail. So Claire, how about you? Because I feel like you're someone who had defined goals throughout your entire life.
Absolutely. So I think one of my favorite things is like when you're little or young in your career, excuse me, it is all about, I want to be a leader. I want to be a leader. Sexiest job in the world until you actually have to do it. So there's that misconception. So when you're like, yes, I'm in leadership. And they're like, oh, you have to deliver this news. Oh, anything that your team does is now your responsibility. Oh, you need to figure out how to message to your team. How do you know your team? Like you start to evolve throughout this. So I think there's like perception and then reality. And I think we see this in a lot of different areas. And I am grateful for the challenges that it presents and the lessons that we get to learn along the way from that. I look at our voice is super powerful of what we have spoken to what we want in life. So when I was little, I always wanted to be a senator. That was like, that's what I want to be. I am a senator at Drake University on faculty senate. I was not very specific into what I wanted to do from that. But, there's always some type of fun leadership role. But I think that, what does success looked like? I think I was always told that there are 3 different career paths. There's like, you start to build your career. And then the next is, how do you bring other people with you? And then the third part is the legacy that you leave. So if you look at them in 20-year chunks, what does that look like? And I want to attribute that to Karen Siebert because she's been really helpful with that. You spend that first 20 years building your career. Your next 20 years are about how you bring other people with you and what you are able to give back. And then that last chunk is your legacy that you leave behind and how people remember you for the things that you've done. So when we look at success in those different components, I think it really is, what does that look like? That first piece, is it acquiring job situation? Is it acquiring experience, designations, education? What does that look like? And then you move into, what are the teams that you built? What are the companies that you've built? What does that look like for you then? And then how are you leaving your legacy for everyone else?
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. It was really it made me think because we were doing a values exercise and it was very interesting to see who was at what stage of their career for what their inherent values were at that moment. And that when she explained that to me, I was like, I got it.
It's making me reflect right now is where I am. And I hope I'm still in that first stage because I'm not ready to be at the second stage yet. I'm certainly not ready to be at that last one.
No.
Still got some work to do. Dawn-Ann, how about you?
Oh gosh. Well, I think kind of similar to Claire, you had this idea when you were young of what you were going to be, and that's what you're going after. And I was determined to be a neurosurgeon. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, my health had other plans for me, so that was not in the cards. And really, that's how I ended up in insurance. But I think going in, I was always super ambitious. I am going to own my own company one day. I am going to be CEO, and this is my thing. Didn't care about family, didn't care. It was all business in my mind. Actually, I think my parents were shocked when I announced I was having my son. But, I was really, really fortunate, I think, early on in my career to actually sit right outside of one of my first mentors. Mm-hmm. She was a senior vice president at the organization with Jill Syracuse. She was amazing and just super supportive. And I thought, gosh, I want to be her. She just had it all put together and tough stuff. She just figured it out. And one of the things that she said early on that made absolutely no sense to me was that it's very lonely at the top. Mm-hmm. Right. And so at the end, it was oh my gosh, but you've got it all and you've got your career and you've got all this, right? And as we progress and kind of changing what our focus is and what those end goals are, it really resonates now and you realize it as you're in the midst of it. I'm certainly not where I want to end up now. I've got greater aspirations, but I can say I love my son. I love my family. I love the path that I've taken and the values that I've now have and learned along the way. And I'm not so sure I want to be that CEO anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it is true though. You know, when you're at that very top position, like there's a lot on your shoulders too, and there's a lot of people relying on you, and there's a lot of weight on your decisions. Even though you have people advising you, and you're taking. I mean, ultimately, the decision is yours, and then you have to feel that too.
Absolutely.
So, Kirsten, what was yours?
I feel like I'm pretty good. I can do what I want when I want to do it.
Baller mom, literally footballer mom.
I do what I want. I never miss anything for my son. I mean, off chance, you know, hey, I'm out at a conference with Claire. Maybe I miss a football practice, but I'm never gonna miss a game or something important. I remember, I don't know where the heck I was, maybe Claims College with Claire. And I remember there was issues with the flights, and it was a Friday and I was trying to get home, and Saturday morning early is Popcorn Fest in Valparaiso, which Popcorn Parade, Orville Redenbacher is from Valparaiso. So as president of Valparaiso Pop Warner, I need to be there to lead our 300 something athletes in this parade. It's a huge deal. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get home. And like, I'm hopping gates trying to find, like, nothing is working. And to the point where, I know this sounds awful, but I had to buy a first class ticket to get home. That was the only way I could get home that night. What if I didn't have that ability? I would have missed Popcorn Fest. Because I would have been stuck. Where were we? Boston? I don't know. And
more.
Yeah, and it would have, you know, devastated my son, and I would have felt like I failed there. And you know, that was good that I could do that. It wasn't worth it though. It really wasn't. I was like, what? But you know, I own the firm, and they're going to be, we announced it to the firm the other night, but they're going to be putting my name on the door, and
congratulations.
my partner, Michael's name.
Yes.
So, you know, we're going through designs right now and all that. And I just remember, like, when I came in, and my first 7 years of practice, I was plaintiff, work comp, you know, GL, and then criminal defense. And, you know, I switched over, and never having billed, never having done anything with insurance companies other than try to get money from them for my plaintiffs, you know. And I remember sitting in my first review, and they're telling me how great I did and this and that. And, well, what do you want from this? And I was like, I want to own the place. And I think my one partner kind of like choked on his coffee. Like, he's, well, that's ambitious. And I said, that's what I want. That this I want more and more and more. So I mean, yeah, my mom always, you know, hit it into my head. I mean, we talked about, you know, in past podcasts, my dad died when I was 14. My mom didn't have an education. They were high school sweethearts. She was not planning for her husband to die at 38. So she beat into my head. Yeah. You support yourself.
Yep.
You don't depend on any man ever. And then you can marry for love and not have to worry about that. And if something happens, you're okay. So I also think that's internally driving me, though. I want more and more and more because I want to make sure my family's taken care of. Knock on wood if something happens. It's just my weird way of ticking. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that, you know, I have this flexibility and I can do this stuff.
I have a question though. When you made that comment that I want to own the place, did you have any idea of how you were going to get there? And if not, how did you figure it out? Because I would have been, I admittedly was clueless. I had no idea early. I remember talking to some other attorney in my office, and she was like, you know, the goal is to make partner, and we need to get clients. Do you have any idea how we get clients? I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't know how you get clients. So like, did you have a clue?
Yeah. I will say, one of my, you know, partner mentors, Stores Downey, he sat down with me and was like, I want you to make a list of every business contact you have. And then we're going to look at that and see where we can spur from there. You know, and explained, hey, if you go out and do these conferences and stuff, we can give you billing credit, but then you're not going to get origination credit and build your book and all of that. And I think I understood that, though, the hustle part of it from being a plaintiff's attorney, because I got into an arrangement where, you know, whatever I brought in, I got a percentage of on top of a, you know, base salary. So I understood the inherent hustle. And I don't think a lot of these new attorneys coming into it right away do. They're all just about billing, and they're not looking at the bigger picture, because the business, the book of business is really the main thing, right? You know, like I remember my second year when I started getting originations, I think, you know, it started at like $20,000. And I was like, oh my God, you know, and like they handed me a $2,000 origination check at the end of the year. Like, hey, you know, typically it follows 10% if you, and I go, what? Like I had no idea how it worked. None. You know, I was used to just seeing the set money as a plaintiff's attorney. I had no idea that, oh my God, all this overhead, I'm paying for all these people. Like it was, I came from, you know, working for one attorney with about 5 staff to this multi-state firm. And I was like, what do you mean only 2,000 out of that? But then every year my originations doubled, tripled. And I was like, what's it going to take for me to be income member? What do I need to do? Because there weren't set guidelines here. It was never a, hey, you have to have 400,000 book of business to be income member. You have to have this to own it. It's the trend and seeing it get better and better. And what do you do to manage? What do you do to supervise? What do you do to, you know, expand the business? So on and so forth. But my first one was, my uncle was a foreman for a big industrial painting company. And I said, hey, set me up with your HR. He's, you know, who makes the decisions? And he's like, okay. And I did. And she loved me. And she called Amerisher and said, I want her on panel. Well, they happen to be one of the top insured for Amerisher. So that, yep. But then I understood it wasn't just that. Then it was going to meet the adjusters in Indianapolis, letting them know me. Because, yeah, you can land them, but then you have to get the cases in. You have to develop the relationships. So
can I make an observation? So, Kirsten, I've known you for a long time. And when Megan asked the question, like when you're like, I want to own the firm, I will say that has always been present from something that I would describe as extreme ownership. You have taken extreme accountability and ownership from the moment that I have met you, of showcasing like your personal brand, the organization, like all of your attorneys. You have taken this extreme ownership and accountability that it's never anyone else's fault. You just handle it and take care of it. And then I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, kind of like parenting. Like you don't necessarily see what goes on behind the scenes, but I can tell you from an outward facing, that extreme ownership piece has been probably one of the things that I think separates you from a lot of the masses that exist in our defense space.
Well, and it's hard, you know, because your name's on the door, like, or this is your client. And that's what really pains me. And I'm sure you guys all have it. And at every conference we're at, you know, I just spoke at the Women's Summit for CLM, like the talent shortage and people that don't want to take pride in their work. And it's just like, you give them these clients that are your personal clients that you work so hard for and you maintain, and they have no idea the hours I spent away from my son getting those clients, maintaining that, and they just don't get it and don't put the pride in that we do. So I do feel totally accountable for everything, especially, you know, now owning the place. Even my Illinois attorneys, like I know I don't have Illinois work, but I send Illinois work and they're in my firm. So I feel responsible for everybody.
Well, and I think that it goes back to like the act as if you've always acted like this, and now your name's going to be on the door. and that you've been an owner of the firm, but you've always acted like that. You've always, the buck stops with me.
I think it's taking pride in what you do. And I know everybody here does. And I just want to have future generations do that. Dan Costello brought this group of high school students that is friends with his daughter, this women's group, to the Women's Summit, CLM. And it was so refreshing and exciting to see these high school girls there taking this initiative, listening to all of us women speak up there, our stories. And, you know, we had these round tables for discussions. And I'm like, yes, these are the people we need. And we're just not seeing them.
No. And so Jen.
Oh, yes.
Yes. We need to hear about your story too. I mean, I know just because we talk a few times a day about what your what your initial goal was when you graduated law school, and here you are now in a totally different path. But like, what did you early on in your career? What did you define as success for yourself?
You know what's interesting? I was thinking when you asked this question, I was thinking back to my grandmother, who used to get mad if somebody asked a child what they wanted to be when they grew up. Really? And she would say, how are they supposed to know? They're a kid. Maybe the job they're going to have hasn't been invented yet. Maybe they're going to invent the job that they're going to have. She just thought it was such like a preposterous question to ask like an 8-year-old. And I think she was on to something, right? Because you know, when she was born, things were changing so fast, right? Like the world was changing so fast that probably was correct. Like things that you couldn't even dreamed of happened. But I never really knew what I wanted to do. And my path was all over the place. I think my main goal was to find something that allowed me to be a parent and to continue to work and to be fulfilled in both spaces. So it wasn't exactly like I was trying to find the role that fit that instead of me chasing a role and trying to mold it to be what I wanted to, if that makes sense. And this job now that I have, it's like part practicing law. I'm doing some marketing. We actually, one of the founding members of our firm just started a sports management agency, and I'm involved in that. And if you had told me 20 years ago that that's what I would be doing today, I would partially be surprised and then partially not be surprised, because I feel like this all fits my strengths and personality better than maybe just practicing. Like my goal was never like, I'm going to be partner or I'm going to do this. Like it was kind of like a, let's just keep on swimming, keep on, you know, like, and now that I'm older and my kids are getting a little older, I'm trying to like establish a 1, 5, and 10-year plan just so I have something to work towards. But like, I'm happy just being.
Yeah. Well, and that, you kind of segued into what I wanted to go into next, because we're all parents, right? And I don't know, I think, you know, becoming a parent definitely changed my outlook on what my goals were, and it shifted to I want, kind of like Kirsten, how you were saying, like I want to be there for the things. I don't want to miss the things. And early on, it was like I don't want my kid to be the last kid who gets picked up from daycare. I at least want a few stragglers after them, like second to last even. But it you know, I went from like, you know, just billing, because that's what I thought I needed to do to get on the path, to be on the path I want to be. And then once the kids happened, I was like, well, I can't work like this anymore. So suddenly it changed, and I was like, I then didn't care so much about the partner stuff. I just wanted a job that made sense for my life then, so I wouldn't miss out on like this thing that I had tried really hard to get with my kids. So I shifted in my focus. So I'm curious to hear how things shifted, or if they did at all for you all. I'll start with you, Evelyn. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you, Evelyn.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Little bit. It's very soft.
So, So, you know, I'm probably a little bit different than some because I married the military, basically. So I have had to, you know, move back and forth across the country multiple times in the last 20 years. So, you know, back in the day, I had made management by 27 at a major insurer and was pregnant and going to grad school at the same time at night. And then we were told, you're moving to Washington, D.C. You're picking up. And at that point, the insurance industry hadn't caught up to the concept of hybrid or remote work, or, you know, as long as your job can be done, you know, from anywhere, you can do it from anywhere. So I ended up taking a break from being in the insurance industry and going to grad school full time and being a mom. And I will say that I have a really, I'm empathetic to military spouses everywhere. I have a huge soft spot in my heart for kind of this crew that I am a part of that spans like hundreds of thousands of people, because even today, it's better, right? There's more remote work, there's more opportunities, but even today, military spouses are so unemployed, underemployed. You have tons of people out there that are lawyers, that maybe are doctors, that went to grad school and have amazing, you know, past careers, that because they've moved to some remote location can't really access the type of job that's a fit for their background and experience. And so for me, that played a huge role in how I got from where I once was to who I am now, and, you know, where I've come. And, you know, I kind of feel like, that gave me a little bit of a different perspective on what was possible for me, and also what was important, that and becoming a mom. And I have 3 daughters, and they are 9 to 17. Oh my God, I have a 17-year-old. And, you know, so I would say that, kind of like I said before at the beginning, it was like, how do we get to the top? And I'm not saying the top is unattractive, right? But to Claire's point, you know, there's the stuff that you maybe know about and the stuff no one tells you until you're sitting in the seat. And trying to balance that out with also kind of being a military spouse whose husband travels a fair amount and, you know, has led major organizations within the service. And then also, you know, mom life. God, it's mom. Being a mom is actually the best job that I've ever had. That I've ever had, that I never knew I wanted, but also love dearly. But it is, I tell you what, it's long days between all of it. It is crazy travel schedules. It is doing, I think, to Kirsten's point, doing the best you can to be everything to everyone, knowing that's never really possible. So instead, what you're doing is just trying to manage the flow, and wherever you are, you want to be 100% present for those people at that time. You know, I'm not always going to be at every single thing for all of my kids because of my job or my, you know, other, you know, say life responsibilities. But when I'm there, I want to be all in. I want to fully show up for them in the moment, just like at work, something in the industry. I want to be able to be fully present for those things as well. So for me, I think it's just the ability to pivot and, you know, a lot of caffeine. I'm very caffeine fueled during the week, but I really appreciate what you were saying, Jen, about finding a space that it's not just about what's the title on the door, right? It's also about what can you do with the opportunities that you've been given and the resources that you have, so that you can not only have a life you love or design a life that you love, but you can also make the lives of other people in the industry better than they would have been if you weren't there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you say too about like trying to be as present as you can, or be completely present when you're able to be there, because that is something I think we all struggle with. Because like, look, you can be at your kid's game and then you're like, oh, but I you know, checked out early. Like, is anything happening, you know, with work? And then you look down and check your email, and then you miss the shot or something. You know, I struggle with that all the
True.
time. And then afterwards, like, did you see it? I'm like, I saw it. It was great. Beautiful shot.
as moms, like we don't want to let anybody down. Like at least that's how I feel. Like I don't want to let my boss down. I don't want to let my company down. I don't want to let certainly my daughters or my spouse down. So I'm always trying to be everything. And I'm going to say, so our family, we just got news actually that we are relocating away from Sonoma County. We are moving back to the Washington, D.C. area next year. So we are doing all the things right now. Claire's going to come visit. I think Kirsten will. I know Donnie and will. Jen and Megan, I'll just be a quick hop away from you. But
quick drive.
I will say that just kind of increases like the overall stress because like we're trying to get the house ready and we have people coming over. And so in short, I had to take my daughter to her choral practice for the high school. And I couldn't remember which night the 7 p.m. show was. And I said to her, is that tomorrow night? And she looked at me in the car just angry and says, you don't listen to me. It's tonight. And I felt like crap. But I'm going to own this in front of the world because you want to know what? I'm not perfect. I forget. I'm very freaking busy. I forget shit sometimes. And listen, I will say we were still there and on time at the 7 p.m. thing. But, you know, for me, as much as I want to be there for every single thing, like my daughters are getting older and I have to level set with expectations and also like educate them about where they're going to be getting into. It is a balancing act. And I had to say to her, one, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't remember. That's on me. But also, but sometimes two things can be true. And the whole world does not revolve just around your extracurricular schedule. I mean, I'm just saying, like
she's old enough to like put it on a calendar and tell you what time it's at. Like,
and you know, there's not great comms coming from high school kids, which I think is probably like fair, right? But you know, we do the best we can with the time that we have. Yeah, I mean, I just think, you know, doing the best I can every day.
And I'm laughing at what you said because yesterday I texted Megan at about 5 o'clock. We had meetings literally all day yesterday. Like we stood up at 3:30 for the first time in about 6 hours. And my husband thankfully was home and was like, can I help with pickup? And I said, yes, please. Can you go pick up our oldest daughter and her two friends? And I gave him the wrong location. And so then he called me. I've been sitting here for 7 minutes. Where is she? And I was like, well, where are you? And I was like, that's not where she is. He's like, well, that's where you told me. It's like, yeah, I know. Sorry, my bad. And so he had to drive. But, you know, if that's the only mistake I made all day yesterday, I'm feeling kind of good.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks before Christmas, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure that your daughter was fine. Probably your husband was the most annoyed of the group.
Yes, but he luckily appreciated he saw how busy the day was yesterday and appreciated that he probably should have also looked at the calendar to see where she was instead of just relying on me. So
imagine that. You do have that nice calendar in your kitchen.
Skylight.
Oh yeah, love it.
Dawn-Ann, how about you? How did things shift or did they shift when you had your son?
Oh my gosh, my son turned me into a big mush. Quite frankly. That was awful. It still is awful. I think, well, you know, with Atlee, it's really been twofold. One is obviously he is everything to me, turned me into a puddle. But then making the decision to put my career higher than perhaps staying in a relationship that was just growing apart, not necessarily adversarial, really put me into that single parent mode and to the effect of moving across the country where there were no other resources as well. So that certainly took it to a new level.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest thing that it changed is, one, I valued flexibility more for a similar reason that all of you are. You know, you don't want to miss the big events. You know, there was nobody else that I could turn back on to. Am I still a workaholic? Absolutely. Atlee will tell you, even when he's little, if we're in the middle of a queue at Disney and he's like, Mom, you don't have your work phone. And I'm like, oh, it's Memorial Day. It's okay. But he knows that Mom is, you know, on the phone. Like, and it's kind of sad he's come to expect that, but he knows when it's important, the phone is right. So he recognizes that. So the flexibility has been way more important. And I found a little bit more backbone. Like I always will hold my own, and I have no problem being in, you know, a boardroom or an executive meeting and giving my 2 cents, but knowing when to say no, because there is something important. And I've taken the heat for that in my career at times. And it's, I'm not living to work. My son is where my priority is. He's 14. He's starting to grow apart, right? In another 3.5 years, I'm going to be, you know, approaching 50 and in an empty house with no friends because Adley is off in college. Well, he'll be working by then. He's already in college now. But, you know, Adley's off on his own life and decided mom's, you know, chopped liver and I'm moving on my own. So it's like, what do I do? Well, then I'll probably sink back into my career again. But, you know, it's that moment of, I might take a little bit of heat now, but it's something that isn't gone forever. You know,
you have friends. We're all your friends.
Yeah. I'll go about this. I'm so excited.
So, Kirsten, is that your dog?
You can hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can hear a vacuum.
Very, very clearly.
Oh my God. Why are
She's
my
like, I can't hear it.
why I know why are my ear pods not working?
Just mute yourself when you're not talking.
Oh my God. Sorry guys.
No, I love it. Claire's cat walked behind her. I'm all in for the animal.
Oh yeah.
I'm just so I'm just so like conditioned. All right, let me go get him outside. I'll be right back.
So, and Claire, I want to pivot to you too, because you mentioned this before we started
Sure.
too, about when your daughter was young, she would sleep under your desk. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot when we look back at this. So first of all, I want to give a big shout out to our moms. There were no groups talking about this. There was nothing. Like I think about my mom coming up in the 80s, like there was nothing for her from a support standpoint.
Yeah.
And so that I think is one thing. Like I think our moms really did do the best job that they could in those situations for what was acceptable and what's not, because there's still a lot of that messaging that goes out there. And then you do the best you can with what you have. And I think that that's another thing, but we've also advanced quite a bit, I think, in the workforce. I will say at the TPA, when I became a mom, there was no pumping room or nursing room. And I got to go into the 1-stall bathroom where everyone pooped and try and pump for my daughter, which I will tell you was the grossest thing on the face of the earth. Well, you know, for the people that are there now, they all have a room. They have a dedicated room and refrigerator. Like that is so great. A lot of us have had to come and kind of pillage that path moving forward. But would I change it? No. I've always been very career focused. Love being a mom. It's so great. And I am on kind of that like end cycle right now because she's 17. But there's also like you're setting the tone for what they think they can or can't do. So I like to approach everything from it's all figure outable. Everything is solvable. And that comes from having effective boundaries of knowing what you will and won't tolerate. And I think a lot of that ends up being hard for people because they can't place appropriate boundaries from a familial standpoint, whether it be in-laws, whether it be with a partner, whatever that might look like. It's easier to do them at work. It's a lot harder to do it when it's personal or family or, you know, the quote unquote feeling like you're supposed to be doing everything possible. Everybody's life looks very different. And so what that intentionality, like I'll pick on Kirsten for a second. I know she sits at the Pop Warner games doing all of the things, but you know what? I think it's also super powerful for little boys to see their moms busting their ass and knowing this is how you do it all. It doesn't just magically happen. Like this is how we make sure that everything is taken care of because everything is figure outable. I think we've made some advancements. I think that it's done great, but I also am going to say the uncomfortable thing in the room, we're our worst enemy. Women shit on each other right and left with this stuff. Like, oh, you're letting the nanny take your son to the doctor instead of doing it yourself. Yes, because that is the only thing that I can do today. Like, I mean, like I'm fascinated when we like start to tear other women down where it's like, you have no idea the political dynamics that exist in that workplace for that specific woman. So come judge. But I hear this stuff all the time, and I'm always fascinated. And again, being on the other side of things, where my daughter's very self-sufficient. We actually got to register to vote yesterday. Got a photo of her. So I'm like, oh. But I mean, how'd you get there? A lot of, I don't know. I think back to like on Mother's Day, I usually own a couple of things that I wish I would have done differently. And at one point she was like, you got to stop beating yourself up. And she's right.
I love that you made the comment about little boys, you know, and seeing their mothers being that really a dominant figure and figuring out and taking charge. One of the few things that I like remember as if it was a picture on my desk is when Atlee and I first moved. We were in Minnesota for a couple of years, and I'm doing some stuff around the house and, you know, construction related, and he just kind of walked into the kitchen totally confused, and he's like, how can you do that? And I'm like, because I can do that. And he's like, but I thought Dad did all that stuff. That's what dads do. And I'm like, oh no, moms do it too. And to this day, like he's just always, he's not into the construction. He likes the engineering and the electrical and things like that. But he just sits out there and he'll be like, my mom does that.
Well, I think it's hugely important for boys to see moms being successful badasses. We know, like the girls know that we're awesome.
Yes.
It's different when you start to look at the different genders. And especially I think about like how we've all grown up or what influences us or what media shows, because it is changing our brains on a regular basis. And we don't necessarily see how the implications are going to show up. We will in the next 10, 20 years. But I think it's huge. There is nothing that makes me happier than when they have asked Kirsten, well, why do you have to do that? Like, I think it's so powerful when you get to have a voice and shape how other little boys are going to grow up, knowing that, it's work. So you figure out how to help along the way.
Yeah.
Not my job to figure everything out all the time. You can help too.
It's still, though, every day just rearing its ugly head. Okay. Like, I signed up, like they voted me in again to be president of Pop Warner for a second year.
Stop doing a good job at it. That's your easy stick out.
Done.
Why? Like, and I could have stepped down and I said to my husband, are we going to get divorced if I do this again? And he's like,
fair question.
Yeah. He's like, you have to, because you put all this time and effort and you change the whole scape of it, and some idiot is going to come in and just blow it to pieces, and then you're really going to lose your mind.
Then you'll be doing more work than if you were just president.
Accurate. So I'm like, okay, you know, and we're at like I don't know, some team party, and I don't know, Brian said something like, my husband said, oh, did you see I got the laundry done? And one of the men go, oh, that's cute. You do laundry? Now, I mean, to be fair, like he puts it in piles on the bed a lot because he doesn't know where to put my stuff. And then I go on a scavenger hunt. Like, where's this? Where's that? Like, but I appreciate the effort. And, you know, it came like a few years ago. I was like, I need help. I can't. I need help. Like, I need help doing this. So Jack sees Dad shares these roles with me, but then Mom also, I will still make lunches for Dad at night. And my neighbor ladies are like, what? But I'm Greek. That's my language of love. Like, I feed my boys. But I mean, I think the women though are worse than the men. It's kind of like you expect it.
Yeah.
But there was a group of parents that were just very toxic this year, very like screaming at coaches, berating them in front of kids, like not okay. And I got to the point where I had to suspend them and then actually file police reports because they were not following that. And this one woman is sending me like threats of physical violence via text. And I'm like,
come on, lady.
I'm like, okay, I was like, I'm seriously like just going to the police just so there's like a record of this, but I'm not threatened at all. But here's your restraining order to stay away from the practice site. That you did this to yourself. And so I put out this end of year survey to like make the parents feel heard, but also tell them, hey, there's spots on the board if you guys can do it better. And this one woman, I know exactly who she was. It was anonymous, but how she identified what teams her kids were on, I knew it was her. She was one of that group. And her comment was, how can the board do better next year? And it said, put men back in charge of football.
Wow.
This woman
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Why do we, and I don't mean the collective we here, right?
Uh-huh.
But why do women undercut other women?
Yeah.
You've got enough problems.
This woman also works at a battered women's shelter.
Oh.
Yeah. Ew,
Gross.
right?
Yeah.
Gross. Mm-hmm.
I hope she's like behind the scenes there, not the
yeah,
front
right.
lines.
I'm like, your poor sons. Like, so the best thing that I think ever happened, I know it was bad, but the good that came from it was COVID. That made my life with my child so much more manageable, because, and Claire and I became like this when she was the client that, when I said I was only taking 6 weeks of maternity leave because I had just made income member and I had my clients and my expectations, everybody judged me but her. My partners, my clients, my family, my friends, you're never going to get this time back. You work so hard for him. And I'm like, you guys, like, he sleeps a lot. Like, I could sit here and work when he's sleeping. Like, I'm not, like, what? And I don't regret any of that at all. But the flexibility now of not having to rush into an office.
Mm-hmm.
I can wake up early, work, take him to school so he doesn't have to ride an early bus 5 minutes away, come back, work. And I'm here when he gets off the bus at 3. Yeah. And he's to the point now, hey, Jack, you got to start your homework while I'm still working here. Or, hey, Jack, yeah, fine. Play too much PlayStation, have too much iPad time. I've got to get this call done. I've got to do this until my husband gets home at 4:30 or 5. So it just, and I can be at those practices. Laptop might be out, but, it's made things a lot more functional. And we don't think we're ever going to force people to come back full time because they are loving this flexibility. And as long as they're doing their job, who cares? In my opinion.
Yeah, I share that opinion with you. Yeah.
We're not in a plaintiff's firm where we have to be in there dressed in the full suit every day for the plaintiffs coming in. I get on a plane and go try to hit 5 of my clients in Des Moines in a day, come back. I know when I have my settings, we arrange for that, but yeah, I don't ever want to go back full time. It really makes life more manageable. I'm not saying easier, but more manageable for mothers.
Yes. Yeah. And, we were talking about this, I think, was it yesterday? Yeah, Jen, it was probably yesterday. But and this is kind of diverting away from our topic a little bit, but, I worry sometimes, like, we have a younger admin who, this is like her first real job. And then I worry about her though, because I'm like, and we talked to her about it yesterday. I'm like, are you okay? Like, not being in an office with other people? Because I feel like that was a big formative part of my life. Like, I made some really good friends in those first office jobs. The girls I'm going out with tonight are from the first law firm I worked at, long lifetime friendships. And she was like, no, I'm good. I socialize enough. But I also don't think she knows what she's missing out on. But she's like, my friends all have these same schedules. So it all works, it's fine. But I'm like, hey, as long as you're okay with it. But I worry about it a little bit, especially for the younger, for new lawyers, especially that learning aspect you get in an office. But I don't personally want to come back to an office either. So.
I think it makes it easier for them to jump jobs too. They don't feel that connection now, because I do have an attorney down in Indy, and we do a lot of Zoom. So when we're like that, or I do try to set up, some get-togethers, but it's hard. And you have these people on LinkedIn telling them, oh yeah, you got to hop jobs every 2 years. You got to keep making that money. How do you build anything just chasing an
Money.
extra 10,
Yeah.
15 grand a year, you're not building. You're just a cog, and but they're not having those connections from being in office. You know, we say associates have to come in 1 day a week. And then we have a mandatory in-person department meeting every other week. For the Chicago team, they're way bigger, but I'm not making my Indiana team go up there. So we remote in, you know, and technology makes it great, but yeah, it's hard.
I think that's the way it is for everyone now. Kind of like what Megan was saying about our admin, even saying her 22-year-old friends are all working either hybrid or remotely. And so are my friends. And kind of going back to how things changed when we had kids is like my village expanded so greatly. And it is so nice. You know, I do agree that women are each other's worst enemies, but we are also each other's greatest supporters. And like, I just have this group of moms around me who, like, if I need anything, I have a roster 10 deep that I can call and be like, help, my kid needs to be picked up from school. Like, you know, help, I need something sewn and it ripped and I don't know how to sew. Like anything, you name it. And I have a friend who will I'll be there in 5 minutes. I will help you out. And like, that is the greatest gift. And I never had that until I had kids.
Yeah. I will say though, going off of, I think, I don't remember who said it. I think it was Kirsten though. There are the toxic, yes, it was you, Kirsten, the toxic group as well. And I remember I used to be very in that group. And I thought it, like, I didn't know it at the time. I was like, these are the bestest friends. They're amazing. Da, da, da. And now, like, the leader of the pack, things went sour. And then I realized I found this whole new group that are like what Jen described, like the people that are like, we'll give you the shirt off their back for whatever you may need. Whereas before it was like all about the social stuff, which was fun, especially when your kids are really little, like anything to do anything social at that point. But I didn't see the toxicity of it at the time until I'm looking back on it. And I was like, how did I not see that?
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, but as our kids are all getting older and like we're more, they need less of us, right, on the day to day, has your idea of success now changed? And I'll start with you, Claire, because I know you have to hop off in like 4 minutes, and we might not close up in just 4 minutes.
Yes, no, absolutely. I will say that my definition of success is freedom. And it has, I think it's always been just my background upbringing. It makes total sense. But the freedom and the flexibility to be wherever I want, whenever I want. Like laptops were a huge advancement. Yes, we're that old where there were times where we didn't have laptops to be able to go and work from anywhere and do anything. And, you know, I'll go back to like Kirsten's point on like the COVID thing. It really changed a lot, but everything is possible. But the freedom and the flexibility to choose where I want to spend my time, my energy, and my resources personally and professionally. But I've also gotten a lot better at boundaries where like, no, that's not happening because I'm going to go spend time with my child or I'm going to go on the college visit or whatnot. It's a hard no. And the more that I give hard no's, like I've never gotten pushback. I'm always fascinated by that. I don't know why we fear like I don't know, like
we're pleasers. We're people please. We want everybody happy. And
yes,
but it's the only person's job it is to make me happy is me.
Yeah.
And if we like start to like, I think I've had the mirror put up a lot more lately, and maybe it is because we're like at that 17 age where it's like, well, how do I want, like we teach people how to treat us and I'm not here to get walked on. And my biggest asset in life is time, and time is truly the only currency. So I will offer people just as much respect as they offer me from that. But the moment you start wasting my time, I feel completely disrespected, and I'm not going to sit here through that. And I think that's like, and that doesn't matter whether I'm in academia, whether I'm running workerscompensation.com, if I'm out consulting in workers comp, like it doesn't matter. That is like a hard line across the board. And I decline meetings all the time. If you can't tell me what I need to do for it or what I'm supposed to bring to this or whatnot, I'm not coming. And if I'm late, it's probably because I didn't want to be here anyway.
Well, I'm guessing.
I'll say it. I'll say what people's behavior says.
Well, I think that
no,
all
it's the
6 of
freedom
us
piece.
are probably like the star sticker kids of the 80s and 90s who did what we can to please everyone else around us.
Yes.
I think I just need to talk to Claire more instead of going to therapy because
Yeah.
I'm telling you everything my therapist tells me. I just don't know how to implement it yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Claire
Well,
set you straight in a good coffee session. Like,
yeah.
yes.
It's through failure. But I'm also like, I'm the person that people call to get stuff done. That's I have become that person, and I'm very much here for it.
Good.
So,
I'm working on it, Claire. I'm working on it.
yeah. Well, it's like I'll go to Kirsten's point earlier. I'm very happy with where I'm at.
As
I
you
mean,
should be.
There's
You're
like
flying to Chicago in the
like an hour. Yeah. That'd be great.
for a
That'd be
funsy
great.
weekend. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be great. So
Well, how about you, Evelyn?
I kind of like maybe we're all kind of similar, but my barometer is, does something fill me or does something drain me? Because if this is like, actually, I kind of was already getting here anyway. And I will say that Claire and I do talk outside of obviously the industry and these chats. And she is a very good person to say, let me tell you how it is. Or no,
Yeah.
I'm good. I get the point, and here's what I think. And I feel like time is our only currency. It is limited. It's a finite resource. I agree with that. I also think that young women by society are somehow taught that there is a specific definition of success and you need to follow a particular 1, 2, 5 paths to get there, that your life should look a certain way for you to be in with the in crowd. You want to know what? I am not trying to keep up with the Joneses. I am not trying to be someone else's definition of what they think success looks like. It's like I said, is this something that brings me joy? I'm kind of Marie Kondoing life at this point. I'm going to embrace whatever the thing it is, and I'm going to decide, is this joyful? Is this necessary? Do I bring value to the table? If I don't, I'm out. And that's not me trying to be nasty or mean. I just think that we have to respect ourselves, one, if we want anyone else to respect us. And so I think that's a thought. And then I also think for me, the other thought is I used to care way too much about what everybody else thought about my choices and how I spent my time. And I'm getting away from that because there's kind of some saying out there, and I swear to God, I don't know who said it, but it's the idea is like, if there is someone who's critical of you and your life decisions that are bringing you joy, think about that for a minute, because if this is not a person that you would normally reach out to for life advice, why do you care about their unsolicited critical opinions of you? You should not.
Yes.
Figure out who you are and try not to be afraid of it. Success is variable. It's different for everybody. And maybe it's dynamic. Maybe it's changing throughout our lives. But like I said, do you feel happy? The barometer. Do you feel happy where you are? If you don't, it's time for something to change.
Yeah. Let's write that down. Sound clip.
That reminds me of Van Wilder. Write that down.
I like that.
Ryan Reynolds, like original.
It was so good.
Dawn-Ann, how about you?
Yeah, I think a lot of mine is somewhat similar, right? Probably because we're all moms, we have competing priorities, the flexibility, the freedom. But I think what resonates a little bit more for me is impact and meaning, right? So, yeah, we could all work our life away, just be yes women, go through it. But then it really is that the legacy that I want? Is that what is meaningful? Is that what's impactful? Because the world doesn't exist because of Dawn-Ann or Evelyn, right? At the end of the day, we are successful because we have each other, and we are a society that can band together to do the right thing that's, ethical, meaningful, impactful. And it's interesting, Evelyn, you talked a little bit about the barometer, and, you know, much of my world obviously revolves on Atlee, and it's hearing things from his eyes, right? So obviously he's watching everything I do. All of our kids do. They might not act like it, but they've seen and heard everything, whether we want to believe it or not. And, you know, when different things happen, or he, you know, sees or hears different things, and the questioning is, well, why do you put up with that? Or why would they do that? Or, you know, so just do this. And, you know, instinctively, a lot of our answers are, well, you know, you'll learn, that's just the way it is. But is that the way it should be? Is that something that really we should just accept and deal with, or, right, and not make a change? So for me, that's really where my head goes. And I have been in many spots most recently of just kind of reevaluating, what are my goals? What do I want to be surrounded with? You know, what do I want? It's not just Atlee, you know, I'm still a scoutmaster for, you know, scouting troops, and I'm exhibiting different behaviors, and they're doing their observations, and they're all in that impactful, you know, teenage years where they're soon going to be in the workplace. They are going to be, you know, starting their families sooner than later now at this point. And what do we want them to carry on with? What do we want them to see as the value?
Yeah. And I often think about that as well, and sometimes have a panic because I'm like, am I doing enough? Am I teaching them enough that they're going to be good people later?
Yeah.
Like, and like also just the unspoken things that they're observing or they're seeing. I'm like, I hope I'm doing okay. I guess
Sure, you're doing fabulous.
Yeah.
That's so normal, though. We all feel like that, right? Like we always wonder if what we've given them over the first 18 years, whether it be time, setting the example, you know, the advice, whether it's going to be enough. But I think that that's like also the pendulum swinging. They're going to swing away and be like, you are ridiculous. Like in college, you didn't know what you were talking about. I don't know. And I feel like boys and girls, I only have girls, but I do have a brother. You know, they come to the realization that mom and dad were good humans and kind of knew what they were talking about at different ages. So I've heard, and I'm really keeping my fingers crossed, that for daughters, it's earlier than it is for sons. Daughters apparently kind of at the end of college start saying, hey, maybe mom did really kind of know one or two things. And I think sons, it's to be in their mid-20s, but I'm holding out hope.
As you're in those teenage years that are so lovely.
They're hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Kirsten, how about you?
You know, I tell my son all the time when he gets aggravated, when I'm, you know, he does something at school, gets in trouble. I'm like, okay, no PlayStation, you know, whatever. Or he tries to lie to me about it, and then I have to interrogate him. He's I'm in trouble, guys, because he's 7. Yeah, he's 7, and it just comes out so convincingly. And I'm like, that's not true, and I'm gonna find out. I always do. I said, my job here, I said, I need to make you a good human, a good little human. You know, yes, I want you tough. I want you to stand on your own feet. But my job is to make you a good human. So, you know, it's hard. It's very hard. You know, I asked him, I said, Jack, do you want me to be president of Pop Warner again? He said, yeah, it's cool. I get to be down there on the field when I'm not playing. And I love hearing you yell at people. And I'm like,
yeah, this is why I worry about myself.
Yes. And I'm like, why, what do you mean yell at people? He's like, you know, when those parents were getting in fights in the stands and you were yelling, I'm like, oh God. Yeah. Okay. You know, but I hope, you know, he is learning and seeing a strong female, and that he made the comment, well, yeah, I'm going to do what daddy does when we grow up, because he works outside. So he makes so much more money than you. And daddy was like, oh, Jack, you've got so much to learn, buddy. He's like, your mother doesn't have to go out in this. Your mother doesn't ache at 45 with 2 shot shoulders and knees. He's like, and it took my husband a long time because he didn't come from that. Okay. His father was the truck driver. The mother, she was there while his dad was over the road. And he came from that traditional, and it was a hurdle at first. And I still think, that's why he does his side jobs and hoards his money to say, here, let's go on vacation. And I'm like, you okay, and I love it, but he's there and he does those things. And we have to be easier on ourselves. We just, we have to have some compassion with ourselves. We're gonna mess up. There's too much going on, but we also have to ask for help and then pay for help when we can. Okay, guys, Shutterfly, if you don't use it for Christmas cards, that's the only thing that makes it possible for me to get out the amount of Christmas cards like I do, because they have an address book feature. Yeah. And you can save your addresses and they will send them out for you. Like,
they do that.
They will stuff them and send them. And you can like send a text to your friends like that says, please update my address book. Like, it's so worth it. I can't stress it enough. But
didn't even do Christmas cards this year or last.
Right, because you don't have time.
I'm gonna forget it.
Yeah, that's the only way I could do that. And then I said, but I'm grappling with myself right now because I hate baking Christmas cookies, but I feel like it's what we're supposed to do, right? Like, I hate it.
It's never as magical as you think it's going to be.
Yes.
I'm always pissed off at everybody. Yes. They're fighting. My kitchen's a mess. Like, and my kids aren't that little. They are almost 13 and 11, and they fight over who's going to use the mixer. Still.
Yeah, no. So I'm thinking like, because we have my husband's company party tonight. And so Jack's, it's adult only. He's going to go to Grandma JoJo's. Well, Grandma JoJo bakes. Okay. Grandma JoJo bakes a lot. So he's going to go decorate the cutouts with her. I'm like, is that sufficient?
That's enough.
Like,
yes.
Okay. Like, I'll go do all the things with you. I'll go look at lights. I will do this. I will do that. We've been doing these little foil. I don't know if you guys have seen them for your kids, but they're a huge, like, it's these little cutout things, and you pull different pieces off and you put these different colored foils and you rub it and then you pull off, and it's beautiful. Okay.
I just got a bunch of those as gifts.
Yes. They're amazing because it also calms my mind. So I'm sitting there with
him last night. I was like, that looks like a good idea.
Yeah, they're amazing. So like, we're sitting there making little Christmas ornaments last night, so you just got to do what works for you.
Yes.
And not be what it's supposed to be. And I'm still struggling with that every day, all day, but I'm trying.
And
I'm not doing the damn cookies this year. I'm not.
I think your volume's off again or something. I think you were trying to talk and I couldn't hear you.
No, it's okay. I don't know. I feel like, so my office is downstairs and it's a tri-level, but it's like into almost not a mountain, but kind of. So this is like underground. So basically I am in a cave. I just can tell you what's as exciting as like a bat cave. It's not. I don't have any special powers. I don't have a Batmobile. I don't even have Robin. Well, maybe my Weimaraner is kind of like, my sidekick. But no, I was just going to say that like this cookie situation, I don't like bake. I don't bake. I don't like bake. I do cook a lot, but I don't like baking. And to be honest with you, there's this idea that we do it for the other people in our lives. And I'm not going to say that there's no one out there that doesn't like baking, because God bless you. And like, maybe your kids are super into it. My kids pretend like they're going to be into stuff like that. Like, oh, we have to do it. So you take it on yourself. It's like part of like the mother load, right? That we're doing. And then they leave after 6 minutes. And then I got a big mess. And all this stuff that started that, then I'm a person that's like, once I've started something, I gotta
finish.
Well, and that's a positive quality.
decorating bells by myself, and they're all like sleeping the sleep of the best sugar plum fairies. No way. Here's what I tell you to do. If you feel like, oh God, we need to give out the cookies, whatever, I want them to look and taste good. I don't think that there's any shame in going to the local bakery and getting the cookies. And then, because people are going to still love them and taste them. Yep. It's not like you put on the cart, I baked these just for you. If they think you did, okay. If they don't, fine. And then at the end of the day, if you feel like you do need people to think you baked them and they're coming to your house, maybe just, I don't know, throw some flour on yourself.
Like the Rice Krispie commercial from like the 80s or 90s. Do you remember that?
Yeah, like kind of. Like, oh, I slaved over a hot stove all day.
To be honest, no one is eating the cookies that have been decorated because they have so much crap on them.
Oh my gosh. We don't even get to decorating. We get through baking them, and then Allie is over it, and he's like, that's fine. I'm going to eat them all plain. No frosting. Yeah. No, and they won't even last anyway. So.
Or a good little tip I found, some of the local bakeries will offer little cookie kits. And they're pre-made cookies with all the decorations, and I still even hate that. I hate the mess and the
it is messy.
Yeah,
everywhere. But yeah, I mean, if he wants to do that, but I mean, hopefully he gets his fill of 200 cutouts tonight with Grandma JoJo. So,
well, think of me on Sunday because I designated Sunday as cookie decorating day. So.
I just dread it. I was ruined growing up. My mother was meticulous on it, and it was this whole big to-do, and she knows. She'll know. Her ears are probably ringing. She had tweezers set aside for decorating because you couldn't frost and then just put sprinkles on it. If it was a bell, you had to take jimmies and outline the shape of every bell, and each had to be a different color. And if you had the Christmas tree, you had to use the little cinnamon candies and make them into lights all the way around. And you could not get out otherwise. You would be like
next level.
You screwed up the process.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab something. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna show you where my neurotic just stopped.
Okay.
Well, actually, I was.
What about the gift wrapping scenario? Because I swear to God, I feel like tracking down the bags of crap that I bought because I heard the high schools like wrapping stuff in a bookstore. And I feel like I think you're really only to have them wrap stuff that you purchase at the bookstore. But what if I just cut you a check? Or whatever. Here's everything. Make it pretty. I'll put the bows on at home because I like to do the ribbon. I'm weird. But I don't want to do all the rest of this. And somehow between work and all of the moving parts, it seems like I'm pretty good. I buy right along, but I don't wrap right along. And then I'm stuck the week of Christmas wrapping all of this stuff.
Bags. Santa comes like a display shower. Do you know when you go to a display shower and everything's just out? Well, that's how Santa.
My house too. Santa doesn't wrap.
Santa doesn't wrap.
But Santa doesn't bring the really important gifts though, because I heard in school, if some of the other kids are like, why are you getting an Xbox? And I'm not. But Amazon has these you can buy bulk, and they're not gift bags. They're like pretty foily, and you just drop stuff in, tie it. That's what I do. What? I will.
Send me the link.
They're amazing. So this is where you're the crazy cookie placement, because I'm that person. This is where I started saying I don't give a shit. Excuse my language. So these are these foily things.
Yes, that's exactly what I bought. Yep.
Yeah, they add on there. So my first fatal flaw was I didn't know that two pieces of foil were stuck together, and his boots were this color. And I inside I was dying because Santa's boots are not that color. But I was like, you know what? I don't care. My son loves it. My son put a menorah on top of Santa's head. I can't. Okay, sure, Jack. You love it? Awesome. Again, I messed up on my wreath. It had gold. And then this wasn't right. And it had, they stick together. And I was like, Jack, what are we doing here? Okay, great. He loves it. And then he made this for his little girlfriend.
Oh,
and he said, she loves that. And I go, well, you got to write on the back to it. So he put Merry Christmas, and that's a heart and Jack. So I'm learning to let
Let go.
Let go. And this is my cookie making time with him. So
It's less messy.
mhm.
Well, ladies, it's always a pleasure sitting down and chatting with you. We could probably chat for hours
Ever.
about the for anything, but especially the holidays alone. But everyone is very busy, and we've been on for a while. So I want to thank you for your time and sharing your experiences as to, you know, your goals and your successes. And I'm so looking forward to our next one. Hopefully we can get it scheduled within the quarter. But of course, everyone have a wonderful holiday, and everyone who's listening out there, even though this is going to come out after the holidays, of course, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to Claims Never Sleep. You can find us on your favorite streaming platform as well as YouTube. And thanks for tuning in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.